This video contains batch costing. It is in the 6th chapter named, Job Costing, Batch Costing and Contract Costing in the textbook Cost Accounting. It contains 3 illustrations. This is more suitable for B.Com, B.B.A, M.Com and M.B.A of all universities of India and foreign countries. It is suggested to study through laptop. Presented by Dr. M.Wilson. Batch costing. Batch costing is a method of costing practiced in industries which manufacture articles in definite batches or lots. The production should involve limited repetitive work. Hence, batch costing may otherwise be called as lot costing. ICMA London defines batch costing as that form of specific order costing which applies where similar articles are manufactured in batches either for sale or use within the company. Examples of business establishment using batch costing are brick manufacturing concerns, bakeries, toys manufacturing companies, shoemaking concerns, etc. Job costing and batch costing. Job costing is similar to batch costing in most respects. Batch costing is a modified form of job costing. The treatment of costs under job costing and batch costing are the same. Under batch costing, the unit of cost is a batch. Each batch should be given a batch number. Cost spent for direct material and direct labor for batch numbers should be identified and charged to respective batch numbers. Similarly, overhead should be apportioned on suitable basis and charged to the respective batch number. The total of direct material, direct labor, direct expenses and overheads would be the total batch cost for respective numbers. Cost of production per unit in a batch can be calculated by dividing the total cost in the respective batch number by the total number of units under the batch. The basic difference between the batch costing and job costing is that under batch costing, goods are manufactured as stock for sales to customers, but under job costing, work will be performed in accordance with the specification of the customers. In batch costing, economic batch quantity can be determined, but it is not possible to determine economic batch quantity under the job order costing system. Determination of economic batch quantity. The important task in batch costing is determination of the size of the batch, that is, the optimum number of units in each batch. The cost of maintaining of large batch and the cost of maintaining of small batch should be balanced so as to derive an optimum batch size. The optimum batch size can be called as economic batch quantity. In economic batch quantity, setting up cost and carrying cost are equal. Setting up cost. It is a cost incurred for setting up the plant and machinery before production commences. This cost will normally remain constant for each batch. Increase in batch size means reduction in number of batches to be manufactured in a year. Hence, the setting up cost for 1 year will diminish due to the increase in the size of the batch. Therefore, increase in batch size means decrease in setting up cost and decrease in batch size means increase in setting up cost. Carrying costs. Carrying cost consists of costs for maintaining the stocks in the storehouse. Example: storage rent, salaries to storekeeper, other storage costs, interest on capital blocked in large stocks and the risk of obsolescence, etc. Carrying cost will increase in proportion to the increase in batch size and decrease with the decrease in batch size. Hence, increase in batch size means economy in setting up cost but disadvantage in carrying cost. Decrease in batch size means economy in carrying cost but disadvantage in setting up cost. So, a balance should be maintained to get maximum economy from both setting up cost and carrying cost. This can be determined through a mathematical formula. Formula for economic batch quantity. The information required for the calculation of economic batch quantity are: 1. The setting up cost. 2. The cost of storage. 3. Rate of interest on the capital blocked in the stock of goods. 4. Cost of production, and 5. Annual requirement of articles. Economic batch quantity can be determined through the following formula. Economic batch quantity can be determined through the following formula. The formula for EBQ should be modified by multiplying with 12 if monthly demand is given in the problem. Hence it is stated as 24 ds instead of 2 as. Graphical representation of economic batch quantity is presented here. In the above graph, x-axis represents batch size and y-axis represents cost per unit. Carrying cost curve indicates that the increase in batch size will increase the cost and vice versa. But the setup cost decreases due to the increase in batch size. The two curves intersect at a point, where both carrying cost and setting up cost are equal. A parallel line of y-axis should be drawn from touching the x-axis at B. OB is called as economic batch quantity. Illustration 1. Compute the economic batch quantity with the information given below. The details are presented here. Solution is also presented here. Illustration 2. Calculate the economic batch quantity of a company from the following information. The details are presented here. Solution is presented here. Illustration 3. Compute economic batch quantity through EBQ formula and prove the result by tabular form. Solution is presented here. Calculation of EBQ. It is proved from the above tabulation that the EBQ is 200 units. At 200 units of production, carrying cost equals with setting up cost. Also, the total cost is the minimum at the EBQ level.